you today with us. We have Shelly Shell Williams, of course. DJ Kid Disco isn't with us today. We don't have our producer, so we don't have commercials. Oh, so we get to just talk instead. We also have a wonderful guest. I'm so excited to talk to Michael Sampson, who is joining us from Georgia. So
PPC, yeah. PPC, CPC, yeah. Joining so we can grow together. Conversation, get that healing. Let them know what they're missing. Share with your best friend. Tell them come hear this, yeah. Don't you jealous your blessings, powerful lessons, true confessions, yeah. BBC, yeah. A powerful tool for you, 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 yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, like I said, we don't have commercials today, so we have a little bit more time to talk. Welcome. Wow. So, what a week we've had. There's so many things happening in the world. It is absolutely insane. So, we're gonna obviously get into your life, Michael. But before we do that, Shelly Shell has a special segment that she does, and this is something we don't prepare our guests for. So take it away, Shelly.
Are you ready, Michael?
I'm ready. Let's go.
Oh, he's ready. He said, listen, that's the mark of a true athlete and everything like that. So if you were listening to the jingle, you heard true confession.
Yes.
Oh, he said, I'm prepared. I feel like you've been listening for a little while. So we want to know what your true confession is. Once you tell us your true confession, we have to follow suit. So it doesn't have to be deep, but one of those true confessions.
True confession is I don't like to fight.
Wow.
Meanwhile, isn't this what you do? You are a martial artist. Is that what it is?
Yeah, but if you want to know the true meaning, fighting is when two energies crash together. And that becomes the fight. So I like to pretty much redirect that other energy, so that negative part. So that's got to do with life also.
Wow. That's deep.
That is very deep. We'll get to learn more. So go ahead, Cindy. What about you?
Well,
you like to fight? No.
so yeah, we could go. So the question is, do we take it that way, or do we take it? Do you always love to do what you do professionally? Right? You always love to do.
Oh,
and
yes.
I'm gonna tell you, I despise the process of learning lines. I really? Don't like having to learn lines. It used to be super easy for me, because it just becomes a tool that you use so many times that it's worn. It's, you know how to do it. You know what I mean? And people pretty much will talk the same. But as I've aged, as I've gotten older, it's not as easy for me to learn lines. So it takes a lot of effort. And that's why I really can't stand it when folks come at me trying to get me to do work for next to nothing, because it's so true. Once I'm on the set or on the stage, by then I'm cool, because I already learned everything. But the work that it takes to prepare to get there, and I'm even worse with lyrics, for some reason, it's like when I have performance anxiety. And so when I get on that stage, if I don't ground myself, the first thing that goes are the lyrics. And the first thing that goes are the lyrics. So that's the part of what I do that I like the least. Once I get in the flow, I'm cool. It works. So I can.
I never would have guessed that.
I would not have either. Have you ever forgotten the lyrics on stage?
One time I did, no, 2 times actually. One time I did, when I was a kid, I did this this show. I would go to church camp every year, and for some reason, I don't remember the reason, I could not remember the words of the song. So I made up lyrics. I sang the melody and I made up the lyrics. And it honestly, afterwards, the guy that was leading the music side, he was like, the lyrics were better. He said, what you came up with was better than the original. So that was once. And then another time I was doing what's it called? Evita. I played Eva Perón. And there was a scene where I do this huge song being dressed. I just have on a slip and they dress me. And for some reason, the guys missed my foot. So if you're an actor, you learn that your props are very connected to your words. And so it's choreographed in such a way. So when it got off, my lyrics said goodbye. They just left my head completely. But fortunately, I had an orchestra that was, a live orchestra, and I could see the conductor. And so since it wasn't recording, he just held it and he just nodded at me and waited for me until I got my bearings. And then I came in with the song.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
it was scary. Awesome. Man,
it was scary because it was a full house. And then, it had a lot of great reviews. And I was like, this isn't a good thing, for getting one of the most popular songs in the musical. But I found it.
You got through it. Look, thank you to the orchestra.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Let me see. Do I like what I do? Some days I'm not even sure what I do. Like it's so many different things, and I think that's what I don't like. I don't like the fact that every day is something different and I'm not even sure what I do. I know I do social media for clients, but that's not what I do. That's what I do for money. It's not like if I had it my way, I would be interviewing people on red carpets and be on a major television screen interviewing people. If I had it my way, that's what I want to do. Social media is what I do to make money. And I'm good at it, but I do it to make money.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Not a deep desire.
Right. Yeah. I know how that feels. I do so many things myself. So okay, well, thank you for playing that game with us. And that was very interesting. So let's dive into you. A lot of people that listen to the show do not listen to the podcast. So tell us where you're from.
I'm from Detroit, Michigan, raised all over. I'm a military brat, of course. It's kind of been back and forth to Savannah, all my life. It's home. Mm-hmm. This is where all my family is.
So how did you start doing your martial arts?
Well, like I said, because my father was in the military, wherever we traveled to, he put me in martial arts school just to make sure that I can meet friends. And it's very hard to meet friends when you travel so much. But if you're doing something that you like to do, it's very easy when you're still in your comfort zone. So he kept us in martial arts. And of course, when I became an adult, by then I've already fell in love with it.
Mm-hmm. How many siblings do you have?
I have 2 sisters and 1 brother.
Okay. And you all were in martial arts?
No, just me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, just me.
Okay.
Always tried to get my kids in martial arts. That didn't happen. They'll come for a month or 2 and they'll find something else to do. No.
I could still
why
hear
did
you.
We can't see you?
We lost him. Oh, wow. Okay. Well, he'll be back.
All right. So martial arts. We're talking about martial arts. I did martial arts for a little while. Me, Keith, and Howard on a TV show. We had a client who had a martial arts school, and part of the deal was we were able to take martial arts. So the 3 of us go in there, and we got our little uniforms. We did everything. We were there for a while, but then they dropped out. I promise you, they dropped out first. Now, they may not tell you the truth, but they dropped out. Mm-hmm. And then I chickened out of doing my first. You know how you belt, you got to belt up, you got to do your routine to do the belt. I knew it. I really did know it, but I chickened out and didn't do it because they left me.
Oh, wow.
Welcome back.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. Happens to me. Used to happen all the time. So don't feel bad at all. So you said you try to get your kids to
yeah, they always had, of course, other interests, and my whole thing is I never want to force my kids to do anything that they don't want to do, because they're not going to enjoy it. They're not going to do it long. So, yeah, but
does your wife do it? Does your wife do martial arts?
It's funny you say that. I actually met my wife, when she came into the school, and but she doesn't do it anymore. She went from doing the martial arts with me, and then working in the office, and then found that she has her own business also. So she got really busy, so she stopped. But I still teach her, of course, at home.
Well, that's nice, at home. So what does that look like? How does a class with your husband look? What does that look like?
Well, it's not really a class. It's okay. Let me show you what we worked on today in class or whatever. Just trying to keep her up to speed of what we're doing. And she's pretty much, once you do the art that we do is called Wing Chun. And once you know the tools of Wing Chun, it's kind of easy to keep going as long as you practice.
On the podcast, you mentioned the fact that it has multiple. The reason why you preferred it is because it works with a lot of different areas. Can you explain Wing Chun?
Yeah. So most martial arts, they're considered styles. Like karate, they focus on kicking. Jiu-jitsu, they focus on the ground. Aikido, they focus on the ground and throwing. But Wing Chun is what we call a system, because it's complete. So we focus on what we call heaven, human, and earth, which is long kicking, punching, and ground. So it's a lot easier. Instead of trying to remember this or that, if you train it all at the same time, when you come across someone, let's say if I just focus on a style, and I come across someone that's a very good kicker, but I'm a good puncher. Well, how am I going to get close to that kicker if his leg is longer than my arms? So I don't know anything about that. So if you focus on the system, you know how to get past it.
How many? I don't even know how this works. My brother, he just got his 3rd degree.
Okay. Yes.
What does that mean? I don't understand all that.
So once you get your black belt, that's your 1st degree, and then every black belt after that, that's your degrees. But we don't wear the belt. We wear like the silk sash, but it's the same thing. Some people call it degree. Some people call it 1st, 2nd, 3rd dan.
Okay. And I'm guessing that you're a 3rd dan, right?
No, I'm a 7th degree.
I'm gonna say no. He's got to be way past 3rd.
Well, that's what I meant when you said 1st, 2nd, 3rd. I thought that was the end. So how far can you go?
It can go. There's really no end. When it gets past, really, when you get past, let's say 6, it's more the years you put in.
Okay.
So it's more honorary than it is. I mean, there's only so much that you can get, but when you really look at martial arts, if you're truly looking at martial arts the correct way, it's a journey. That journey never ends until you end. So it's more of a way for someone to say, I respect the time you put in.
I get it.
So is there somebody that, like you at being the 7, but is there someone that has the highest that's teaching you? So how do you continue to learn?
I'm glad you said that. So my Sifu he's the grandmaster. I'm a master. And people say, why do you have a Sifu? Well, it keeps you humble. Because if you're the top, that means that you think that there's no one better than you. Your ego is gonna really boost, so no one can ever talk to you. So I always say I have a Sifu to slap me around, to let me know that I do not know it all, and then he has one to let him know that he doesn't know it all.
Wow. And so, how did you choose your current Sifu? I mean, when did you start working with him and decide to stay? Because obviously you've been doing this for years.
Right. So when I moved back to Savannah, I moved from Arizona to Savannah in 2005, and there was no Kung Fu here in Savannah. Couldn't really find anyone to train with. So I was like, I talked to my Sifu, my previous Sifu that was in Arizona, and I said, How am I going to train? I need to touch hands with someone. He's like, well, create your own. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, well, at that time I was like 4th degree. He was like, well, you've been able to teach. You taught here in the main temple, so why don't you open your own school? I was like, I'm not going to do that. That's just not. I'm in this for me. I don't want to be responsible for anyone else. And then he told me that was very selfish of me. To not want to pass the art on. So, and that's what made me open the school. Wow. Just because I disappointed him by saying that.
So you currently have the school now?
Yes.
Okay, so you started the school, but you still had to find someone to somebody. So is he right. Your teacher? Is he your teacher virtually?
No, he's my teacher now. He actually lives in Dayton, Ohio. So before I started to open the school, I should say right after I opened the school, because I know that everyone needs a teacher or someone over them. That's when I started searching. I could not use my teacher at that time anymore. Well, the teacher that I left in Arizona, because I've learned as much as I need to learn from him. So I needed to get another perspective of the art. So I searched, over the internet of different Sifus. And then I went to wherever they lived and interviewed them per se, but they was interviewing me also to see whether they can teach me more than I already know, or whether your skill is just the same as mine. And that's how I chose my Sifu now, or he chose me, I should say.
And is he from China?
He's from China, yes.
Yeah, so.
But he's a Chinese American. He lived in Dayton, Ohio, all of his life.
Okay.
His parents immigrated here.
Okay.
So how do you get to train with him? Do you go?
So he comes down twice a year to train with me and to do a workshop for my students. And then we kind of talk back and forth virtually all the time. But once you get to a certain level, you don't need to really touch hands so much. And the hands I do get to touch is with my students now. So it keeps my brain sharp, because believe me, they're like kids. They ask you questions and you're like, okay. And if I don't know the answer, I'm honest with them. I say, hey, let me get back with you. I don't want to force lead you or in any way. And it works great.
So I remember when we were in Atlantic City, certain people would come in, and those that actually knew Wing Chun will often have different tools also.
Yeah.
So you also can do it with swords, or what are
so we have in Wing Chun we have 2 weapons, and one is what we call the butterfly knives, not like the switchblade, but they're a long bladed, and then a long pole, which is about 12 feet long. And where we look at that as being from the shortest stream to the longest stream. So if you can use those 2, everything else in between you can use also.
Wow. Because that was
so do you have cool. that was a convention, but are there, like, with karate, my brother's a karate instructor. Competitions. Where do you have the competitions that keep you going?
Well, they're held everywhere. Like we have one that's coming up, and actually it's in Dayton. It's a nationals. But there's at least 2 a year. Okay. I don't myself. I don't compete anymore. I can't afford to compete anymore because, believe it or not, I mean, if you get hurt and you do this as a living, how are you gonna feed yourself? Mm-hmm. So at a certain point, usually when you get in my age, you just teach and you try to bring people up to where, hopefully where you are better. Always prefer better.
Do you still have that same passion that you did before?
Oh, more. And I'll tell you why, because when you realize, not to pat yourself on the back, but when you realize what the art does for people, it's more important than just the fighting part. And when people come to you and they tell you stories of how it helped them, that's rewarding. So at first it was about me, but like my previous Sifu said, it's not really. It's about you helping other people.
Yeah, I heard this thing the other day. I mean, it's not the first time I've heard it, but for some reason it was like a ding, ding, ding thing. because I do affirmations, and I meditate, and I do all these kind of things, and it's very important to include in your affirmations the betterment for all.
Yes.
Because it is that kind of balance. So it's not just I am happy, it's I'm happy for the betterment of all.
Yes.
It shifts it and takes it to a universal energetic thing. And so I think it's important to consider everyone, because if it's right for you, but it's not right for your brother or your wife or your whatever, and there's not an energy exchange, it can be negative against you.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think that's important to remember.
Right. We're all energy, so we have to come aligned with that energy, and that energy, of course, is all of us together, and not just one singular molecule.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of, we talked a little bit about this on the podcast. The whole thing with violence, we talked about, the unfortunate event with Will Smith and Chris Rock. And what do you think about the use of, you don't like to fight yourself? What about the uses of combat and the uses of all these things? What is your idea about that?
Well, and it depends on the context. Are you speaking of as self-defense? Are you speaking of the bullying part? It's of course, because I'm a martial artist, I don't not fighting. Well, I'm not fighting as crashing energies as the wrong way. I think that if people develop more self-control, a lot of things that's going on, period, would not happen. If people live more in the reality, live in the now instead of the past or the future, we'll be a lot better off. Mm-hmm. And then you have people, I know I'm going a little off track, but you have people that's living in the past, and that's really virtually impossible. You can only live in the now. They live in the past or the future, and that hasn't happened or already happened before. So if more people just live in the moment, and that's part of kind of what draws me to the martial art part, because when people think of martial arts, they think of the Shaolin monks, and they think of they training fighting, but they're really not training fighting. They training how to get that sensation of reality of the now. And the only way to get that is what you're going to do at that moment when that punch is coming at you. How are you going to handle that? So people learn how to handle their reality a lot better than now. It'll be a lot better place.
Mm-hmm. But you personally can't fight in public, because are your hands registered? You say, don't you have to be registered as a lethal weapon once you learn martial arts? You
can fight, but a lot of people, that's a misconception. A lot of people think that you can't fight. You can fight, you just can't be excessive. Mm. So in other words, if I'm already so-called winning the fight, and I'm just going to stand down there and just pound you, that's excessive. Then you're going to jail. But you can defend yourself.
Mm-hmm. Okay, you can defend yourself.
Yes.
But then once it's down, you just got to throw your hands up.
You got to throw your hands up and be done.
Throw your hands. But then you see that in the movies, though. When you throw your hands up and you walk away, they come back, and you always like, why didn't you finish them?
Right.
Don't you do that? And I know everybody does it. Why you ain't do
it? That's true, and that's the risk that I think everyone in life takes. I mean, when you're in a fight with someone these days, are they going to come back and shoot me? Exactly. and again, if I worried about that, that would be me living in the future. Mm-hmm. Instead of what's happening at this moment. Can I diffuse this moment? And then I'll wait for the next moment.
Mm-hmm. Got it. That makes sense. But I'm telling you, in the movies, I'm finishing. Be like the video game. Finish them.
I know. I understand.
Yeah, because thinking about the thing that happened with Will and Chris, after reading, and I don't want to get too much into it because I don't want to feed that energy, but But it seemed like it was the past. That's what caused that reaction.
It was.
Because if it was just about the now, they both would have laughed, but they were angry about the past situations and other people and all the turmoil that they have gone through. People, because I mean, I'm just me. I'm just, I have some people know who I am. I have some fans. I'm very blessed, but I have had a lot of haters, and I'm just me. I cannot imagine how people talk to them. I can't imagine how much negativity they get thrown their way. I'm talking about energy all the time. I know when I cut my hair off, because of whatever reason I did, the last time I cut my hair was because my hair was falling out. I had to, right? I had more men reach out to me and say, why'd you do that? Now you look like a man.
Wow.
I'm like, how is it possible that I look like a man? There's too many curves happening on this body for me to look like a man. I don't care what's happening up here, right? But they feel like it's their right and their duty to tell me what they feel about it. So I can't imagine what she is dealing with when it comes to that. And it's a very sensitive thing.
Yes.
But as you said, if they were in the present, they weren't living in that past hater that they were dealing with, then it would have been a whole different experience.
And prime example, that's why, Chris actually had a good reaction to it, because he was he knew what the present was at the time, and he knew where he was, and he knew who he's watching. So he handled it well. Will, the time leading up to that, when he just walking that long walk up to that stage.
Such a long walk.
Yeah.
It's like, how come you didn't
that walk? But listen, you said that he handled it well, and I commend him on handling it well. But if he was a person who lived in the past, he did not fight back. So if someone walks up to you and hits you, if you are used to not responding with a hit, then all you're going to do is stand there, because if he's living in the past, he was bullied and constantly beat. So in his head, he didn't fight back. He didn't never say once that I fought back. He said, I just let them. He basically let them beat him. So in his mind, he reverted back to the past and was like, okay.
Right. Well, would you say he converted back to the past, or was he living in the now, what's happening right then, and didn't convert back to the past?
Well, she's saying in the past he would get beat up all the time.
Right, but
that's how he handled it.
But just because he did not handle it, just because he gave the same reaction, was it really the same reaction of getting beat up, or was it reaction of I know where I am now?
I personally don't have a clue, but I would think if you're healthy,
yes,
you stand on stage and know billions of people are looking at you, you're going to take that hit. You know what I'm saying? You're just going to take that hit because he's healthy. Will isn't healthy right now.
Right.
He hasn't been healthy for a while. He's been going through hell.
Yes,
the last couple of years with his wife, with revelations about their business, just a lot of negativity, and so he's been feeling something. I've noticed it. I watch him. I watch his stuff. Yeah. I pay attention because I like him so much, and I still like him. Yes. I don't give a crap. He's human. He made a mistake. I love the guy. He's I don't know him personally. I met him once, but I just like his personality.
Yes.
I actually was speaking to a friend of his who I've recently made an acquaintance with, who grew up with him. And he said he never did that.
Wow.
He was always a turn the other cheek guy. Even though he was living where there was all kind of gang activity and people fighting all the time, he never fought back. He always would say like, oh, well, whatever, make a joke and move on.
He's human.
He's human.
Mhm.
And he's been going through something. I can tell by his reactions and how he has been on he's like, everything's big. Everything is really big. It's like this tension that's explosive out of him. Yeah. And it's different than he used to be.
So how about this, right? You're actress, right? And when you go for your part, you have to embody the person, right? You have to take that person and you go study that person. You take on some of their traits. And if you don't release it, if you don't get rid of it, it's still there. So he just had his part that he took on this person who has really kind of like, rah, rah, rah. I like that. How do we know that he still hadn't released release that energy from that person? Because it is an energy thing. That's a part. When I'm not an actress, but I understand you have to live it. You have to embody it. If you don't embody it, you won't portray it in the right way. So how do we know he still didn't have the thoughts, that whole King Richard, fight for my family inside of him, and he really wasn't himself at that moment. He was still in the energy of King Richard. That is
so true. That is so true, and we don't know.
Mm-hmm. We don't know. I mean, I have played all kinds of roles. I mean, I have been killing people. I have been, a drug abuser, and I've done all these kind of stuff. But as soon as that stuff is over, it's over. Mm-hmm. And I'm not talking about I'm not talking about after the movie. I'm talking about after they call cut, right? But some people do embody the character. They do get into it. Mm-hmm. But I think if he were healthy, he would not hold on to that type of personality trait. Mm-hmm. He has been fighting in real life for his family. Mm-hmm. People make fun of his children. People make fun of his wife. Now they're really making fun of him because of the revelations and all of that. So it's very possible that he maintained that energy to protect because he feels like he has to, you know what I'm saying? Yes. I think that like for instance, Denzel, when I worked with him, I didn't know who he was. People ask me all the time, how was he? I'm like, how was Bleak? I can tell you how Bleak was because I didn't know Denzel. Denzel, I didn't know him. And at the time, I just didn't think he was a very nice person. But he was just being cared. He is a method actor. That is what he does. He becomes the person. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And as soon as the movie's over, he moves on. When I finally really met the man, years and years later, he's nothing like that character. Wow. He's a very funny, gregarious, loud, just excited, energetic kind of guy. Mm. And met him as him. I didn't know that. I just didn't know that.
So you're saying that there is some validity to the fact that you take on the character and you call that method acting?
Yes, it's called method acting. And I am not a method actor. I never have been because I already have enough negative energy that I'm always working through myself in my real life. I don't need to take on the energy of a character. I can use my negative energy to create the character, but wow. I have to let it go. I have to let it go, and I do. But some people consciously and with awareness take it. As a matter of fact, I know two people that are very well known, I won't say their names, that became crackheads because they were so method that they started doing it.
Wow.
For the movie. So they could be real. And they were high when they did the movie. And it dogged them. It followed them because they became addicts.
Wow.
Starting with the movie. There ain't nothing that important to me. If I can't pull it off that I'm a crackhead without doing crack, then I'm not going to play that part.
And that's not acting, right?
Right.
No, you're not acting.
Right.
Yes, I mean, it's different. Like Denzel learned how to play an instrument. Okay, that's productive and good, right? He didn't go, shoot up or whatever they do when they do crack. you know, and there are actors that I did a movie once with a guy who was supposed to be an alcoholic in the movie, and he drank the entire movie. He stayed drunk.
Wow.
And the director did it with him. And it was a dangerous project. I was afraid because they were asking me to do crazy, insane things that I would never freaking do in real life or ever. They wanted me to shoot a scene in a toxic waste dump. And because they weren't thinking right, because they were drunk all the time, I can't believe we pulled the movie off. I really can't. And then they only paid me half of my money. So that is not a good way.
Toxic. But it's good to be talking about acting, because isn't that something that that Michael's about to do with you? Like, aren't you on the project together?
Yes.
That's why I'm believe me, I'm listening real close.
I was wondering, I was about to come for you, Mike. I was like, what are you paying attention? Where you want to be a method actor versus what's the other way? So method versus what?
There's all kind of methods too.
Because
there's all kind of ways to act. Because
in this movie, I'm a seafool, but I'm a seafool with a past, and he drinks. So when you said that, I was like, ooh.
So let me tell you,
Michael, don't do it.
I will not. Trust me.
Let me tell you how I do it. Because like I said, I've played drug addicts. I've played all these kind of roles. What I do is I find a time in my life when I felt let's say it's a drug user. I find a time in my life where I felt off, different, you know, and I had some anxiety at one point in my life. So that's what I used when I played a drug user or drug addict. I used the experience that I had that I felt was the closest thing to what I've witnessed in other people. And you can also, you know, just watch other people, you know, go to a bar and watch how they act, you know what I'm saying? But the difference though, you don't want to act, you want to be. So if you start acting like someone else, then it comes off as it's not real. It doesn't feel real. And I watched plenty of great big movies where I was like, oh my God, they're acting, they're not being. Wow. So it's more about being the person that it is. And how you be a person is you be yourself. You find things from your past that you can use, or someone you know very well that you can use and incorporate it into what you're doing.
That's powerful. Thank you.
That was definitely powerful. When you think about that moment when you might be off, I don't know if anybody's ever had surgery, but when you have surgery and they give you anesthesia, that moment you're coming out of anesthesia, it makes you feel like you're high. I've never been high before, but I'd imagine that's what being high is, because you can't function. You're like, why can't I make sense? It's like, I know I'm here, but I'm not here. Come on, bring myself back. And you're mad. You're like, I want to be back. I want to be back. Be like, here's another thing. That's why I don't ever want surgery. I will not get a tummy tuck because I don't want that anesthesia.
Yeah, and you use that, you know. I mean, I like a substance abuser. That was easy for me because I had plenty of folks in my family that were alcoholics. So I grew up watching alcoholism, and I was able to find that and use that as my way to understand what my character might be feeling and take it from there. You know what I'm saying? And so you can literally, like if I'm playing a depressed character, go back to when I was freaking depressed and remember how that felt. You know what I'm saying? Or anxiety or whatever it is your character is supposed to be playing. Find a moment in your life. It's called, what's it called? Sense memory. It's called sense memory, where you can remember from your own life or someone in your life the experience that they had. Because by the time you get to our age, you've had a lot of experiences and you've witnessed a lot of things, and it triggers memories when you have a role. Okay, that's probably how they felt during this time. And then you just try to find that. And honestly, I'm going to just reveal a little bit of my belief system. Because we are all energetically connected, I literally ask for spirits to channel through. Like when I did Abida, I was like, I would love to be able to be as realistic as I can in this character. So I invite you to help me. I want to feel you. I want to feel you. Okay. And I that's kind of dangerous, I think. You know, if she'd have been a murderer, I wouldn't have done it.
that is dangerous.
Yeah, you got to be careful with that kind of stuff. But I when I play real people, I try to channel their energy as much as I can, and it feels authentic. It feels real. So,
and that's why I guess that's why you can look at since you mentioned him, a Denzel movie, and he's playing all these roles, but he always seems like Denzel.
Yeah,
he doesn't seem
right. Yeah, he would be what we call a personality actor, and some people don't like that term. Okay. There's personality actors and there's character actors. Personality actors typically are themselves in almost everything. They just play different character, but it's their personality that people are attracted to, that people love so much. And so there has got to be a part of them in the characters, no matter if it, it's an old, bald man that's, has cancer in bed, or if he's a cowboy, there's still got to be something of him in there. And that's what draws his audiences. That makes sense. Then you have Jeffrey Wright, who is a total character actor. You forget that he is Jeffrey Wright when he's acting. You can't help but forget it because he becomes someone else every time. It's not his personality that draws you in. It's the fact that he is a different person every time. And they're both great. Usually personality actors are the millionaires, are the ones that work all the time, are the ones that do great big movies. Remember Arnold Schwarzenegger and all these guys, they're always themselves in every movie they do. They're always themselves, but it's that personality that the audience loves.
Okay.
And there's no good or bad. It's just different. And part of Denzel's personality is attractive to people. So,
but isn't that why he got the Oscar for being somebody totally different in Training Day? Training Day, it seemed like he became someone. It was like, wait a minute, we wouldn't expect Denzel to be like that. So I feel like that's why they gave him the Oscar, because he was just totally somebody like out of control, different. Like, that's not.
Plus, education and the way an actor is educated is always affects these things too. I mean, Denzel didn't start acting until he was in college. He didn't get all of that training. It was his personality that drew people in. It was his personality. I mean, I remember back in the early days, when some of his early stuff before he did Glory, that he was himself, and that's how he got in. Matter of fact, when we did work together, he told me, he said, "You're probably a better actor than I am because you've been doing this stuff your whole life and you've been training your whole life. I haven't. I haven't been training my whole life." But he's so amazing in who he is, and even in Training Day, there was parts of him there. There were his actions were not like him. Right. The violence and the mean stuff, that wasn't him. But there was still facial expressions. There's these things that he does all the time. But there's this thing he used to do in all his early movies. He would take his two fingers and take them across his lips. He did it in almost every movie for years. And I think somebody must have said, you do that in every movie. So he stopped doing it. We all have our things, our habits that we have to recognize and see. And if we're trying to play different people, we got to shift and do something different.
You ready, Michael? You ready?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
You ready to take it on? You ready?
Ready as I can be.
We got 15 more minutes. Michael, tell us about your bounty hunting.
Okay.
Get into that a little bit.
What would you like to know? Because it's really not that. I mean, it's
more of chasing bad guys, right? Is that what you're doing? Chasing bad guys?
Yes. So
isn't
basically,
that dangerous? Isn't that quite dangerous?
It can be if you're a bounty hunter that is just out there for the glory and just wants to fight or whatever. It can be dangerous. And let me retract that. It's always dangerous when you're dealing with someone else that you don't know. But I kind of, when I do bounty hunting, I set it up to where it's going to be, I'm going to put myself in a better position. In other words, like I was saying on the podcast, I will find you by, making up a profile on Facebook or something, maybe a pretty girl on Facebook, and getting you to respond to it. Because like I said, they're stupid because they do stupid things, not because they're stupid people.
Right.
So they'll respond to that, and then I'll tell them I'm going to be a certain place, and they'll come meet me there with their guards down, and I got them. Right. But I would never I shouldn't say would never, because I have, but I'm very careful about going and knocking down someone's door and going in their house. As bounty hunters, we're allowed to do that, believe it or not, more than a cop is.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm very careful with not. I'm sorry.
So when you profile, you get them, you're there, right? So at that moment, do you snatch them up or do you beat them up? How do you actually?
So it depends. I mean, if most of them are maybe drug dealers or maybe theft or something like that, and typically the theft, they're not going to fight. Drug dealers, they'll more run. So I have to run them down or whatever, and I'm quickly to subdue them than sit there and try to fight with them. They want to fight me, but I don't want to fight them. Again, I don't fight. So it's more about getting them in the cuffs as fast as possible.
That's crazy stuff. Like, to actually know, I don't think I've ever met a bounty hunter, because that sounds kind of like, that's
let me tell you crazy. I was doing this for about 6 years. I went out on my first call, my first bounty, and I went into this project. It was late at night, looking for this guy to skip bond, and riding through there, me and my partner, and there was nobody out, right? Found the house, and by the time we got halfway to the door, these people was like ninjas coming out of the night. You can see them in their dark clothing, and they just came out, and we was like, we better get out of here, because that was the wrong place, wrong time. So you just got to be aware of your environment and know when to say, no, I'm not getting this one tonight. It's not a good time. A week later, we got him. Well, we got him from work.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. It seems like you got to be present.
Yeah.
Pay attention to now, right?
Yes. You got something. If you have something going on in your head, you better clear it.
Is this something you enjoy? Is this something you do for just money, or is it a hobby? What
I do it because of what I said at the beginning of the show, because it puts you in the now. How do you deal with something that's happening right now? And it keeps you sharp.
I bet it does.
Yeah. Well, like you said, it's different than a police officer, because they may or may not be dealing with someone that may or may not have done something or whatever. Right. Whereas this person has done something.
Yes.
They're doing something actively illegal. That's why you're getting them.
Yeah.
So it is very
there's no guessing. I have a warrant because they supposed to be in jail, or they supposed to check in with their probation officer and they didn't. I have a warrant to come get you. You broke the law. I know that I can't be wrong for doing false arrest. We're very careful. A lot of people don't know, because if you put cuffs on someone and it's not them, you're going to jail. That's called kidnapping.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, shoot, there's a lot of cops that have should have done a job.
That done kidnapped someone.
But they allowed to put the cuffs on you.
Got it.
We're not allowed to put the cuffs on you unless we know that it's you.
Wow. Seems like that needs to be a rule for them to.
Yeah, it should be. I agree.
Yeah. I do want to say right quick, Earl says, hi guys. For some reason on my page or somewhere else, it wasn't coming up your comments, but Malik, hello. James, hi. Malik says, our goal in life is to discover our gift. Our purpose in life is to give it away. Pablo Picasso quote.
I like that.
And hi, Paula. James has a question. He says, have you ever thought about being a private investigator?
I have not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a different skill.
It requires a lot of time, and I don't have a lot of time. Mm-hmm. With bounty hunting, it allows me to go out when I want. I can accept it or turn it down.
Oh, wow. Maybe I should be a bounty hunter.
No, Cinder, no.
I don't have your skills though. I played one on TV, literally.
no going after bad guys.
Actually, my partner is a female.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've seen a lot of that. I think that's a bad ass woman. You know what I mean?
They got a whole TV show about this. Isn't the guy, he became famous, the guy who has
Dog the Bounty?
Yeah, he got the hair, the white hair, kind of like hangs down. And
yes.
And then his wife.
I don't know. I really don't know how he's a bounty hunter because he has a record.
Okay.
You're not supposed to be a bounty hunter with a record, so I don't know how they pulling that off. But it ain't my business.
He got a whole TV show. That man is pretty popular, man.
I know.
He was on Dr. Oz after his wife died, and now he had a new, but like you get to really see who they really are, and it's like, yo, you're a bounty hunter. He's like, just like super famous.
Yeah, he found a loophole.
Wow.
He did, unless it's all fake.
No, it's not. It's not fake. He's definitely a bounty hunter.
Oh. I don't know. Well,
I guess for TV they'll do anything. I mean, look at all the shows, the judge shows. You know,
all those court shows. Also.
Huh?
It's who you know also. So
yeah, I mean, we got court shows with people that are not judges.
Yeah,
some of them aren't even lawyers.
Right. That's true.
And they are judging.
Actually, now you don't have to be research. You don't have to be a lawyer to be a judge.
Right.
Right.
I didn't know that at first, but I do know that now. You don't have to.
I did not know that.
Wow. I guess it kind of makes sense in a way. You know, the only thing I don't understand is how can you be a judge if you don't know the law?
Yeah.
You know, and unless your judgment, it has nothing to do with laws per se, but has to do with your instincts and guts about their, you know, the right or wrong of whatever. You know.
Well, you might have
I would never be a judge. To me, that's hard. That's really hard. You have to. You're taking people's lives into your hands.
Mm-hmm.
Lives.
You are, but if you're a good judge of character and you have a good character, that means you will be a better judge as opposed to somebody who is mean-spirited on the inside and they went to law school and they're mean-spirited and they always judge people anyway, like judge them falsely or judge them wrong. But if somebody who is good, like as a good person inside and really hears with an intentional, like I intend to hear this with my discernment. And then I give you an answer that's discerning, not like, you a thug. I know you did it. I know you did it because you was a thug. Oh, you lived in the projects. I know you did. You know what I mean?
Right.
There's people who judge like that as opposed to with a discerning from the heart. Let's feel, let me hear you. And I discern it. So I would rather have a good person be a judge than some old judgy person. That
Me too.
Not nice.
I like Judge Matheson.
Judge Matheson.
He's cool. Earl asked, are you I think he must have come in a little later because he says, are you into the martial arts? Yes, he is.
Yes.
And do you use your skills when you do bounty hunting? Do you use your skills?
Yes, I have to, but not as as self-defense, not as trying to hurt anyone. Mm-hmm. I'm just trying to put cuffs on.
So if they come at you and a punch comes, wait a minute, if you're gonna slap across your face, you're gonna react.
Yeah, you wouldn't have done a Chris Rock thing. You'd have been like, you know.
Yeah,
it's a reaction. That's the thing. That's why I said I don't know what my frame of mind, but if even as a person who I don't fight at all, but wouldn't I react? Wouldn't I do something? Wouldn't I'm to kickboxing, so immediately throw my hands up because I'm gonna go like this. I'm gonna do a jab, right? So
look
that's
at
not
you.
me.
Look at you.
Because that's the immediate. You immediately you're told to protect. I'm gonna protect at some point. I'm not gonna be like.
Right. I'm not gonna look at it coming.
Right? Like you're like, oh,
yeah.
A slap is about to come.
That's what I didn't understand about Chris. If I'd have seen that man charging at me, I might have walked the other way at least.
Right. Well, that's why I told you prior. I was kind of like, I don't know about this.
You thought it was staged.
That was a big round slap, and Chris turned his face before the slap even came. I was like, I don't know, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know because I don't see how it benefits Will at all. I don't see how it benefits him. I see how it benefited Chris.
Yeah.
Chris is making money out the yin yang.
Right.
But how did it, what did Will get out of it except for a whole lot of mess?
Yeah.
I can't see how it served him.
There's no reason for it to have been staged, except for, if you were writing a movie, in the movie version of this, you would say, I got something on you. And if you don't do this, if you don't slap me on stage so I can make more money, then I'm going to tell your business. Or I got something, that's the movie version of it.
Right.
Right. And that's not true of them anymore. They're telling all their business. So, I don't get it. But, well, we're at the end. I want to give you time, Michael, to tell anybody if they're in your area, maybe they want to check out your school or whatever. Tell people how to reach out.
Of course, I'm in Savannah. We're at 54 West Montgomery Crossroads. If you're ever in Savannah, we're there every evening. We're not there on weekends. That's family time. From 6:15 to 7:30 or 6:15 to 8:30 some nights. So feel welcome. And actually, if you're in Savannah and you're watching the show or listening to the show, make sure you put in that plug when you come in the door, and I'll let you do a class for free.
Awesome.
Thank you. Show me a move. No, I'm just kidding. What's a move? What's a move? That's the move. That's not a move. No.
Hey, the best. That's the best self-defense. Bye.
Oh man, I just want to see a move. We gotta oh.
Okay. So Shelly, you got anything going on? Thank you, James.
No, I can't think of anything right now. Just follow me on Instagram at Shelly Show Williams. My course is coming up. It is finally my funnel is complete. So Creative Boss Course Academy will be coming up soon, and Music Artist University. For any artists out there, we have a course, a whole bunch of teachers coming together to teach music. So if you want to know about the music business and not get caught in the trap, you can. That starts in May. You can go to musicartistuniversity.com. And I'm telling you, we see in the music business, and you know how it can be kind of deep. So get that education right there. So that's all I have coming up.
Okay. All right. Well, cool. Right. Well, this week I have on the PPC podcast, I have a friend of mine. His name is Donald Barge. He is a photographer and a musician and really amazing person. So he'll be on the podcast and come on the show next week. That is, I'm on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and a whole lot more podcast platforms. So please support and come and listen to some of these wonderful people. And I think that's all. I think that's all I got going on that I know of. And I'm so happy to say that. Yes. I got a lot of stuff coming up. Our movie is one of those things I got to start learning my lines. So starting now. Yeah. And I think I'm coming to Philly to do a movie in June. So.
Oh, wow.
Hey.
That totally different kind of role. All right, y'all. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you, Earl, James, and Paula, and Malik, and anybody else that was listening in. We really appreciate you being with us today, and have a wonderful, wonderful weekend, and we'll see you next time.
Okay, see you next time.
PPC, 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 yeah. PPC, PPC. it your best friend. Tell them come hear this. Yeah. Don't you cherish your blessings, powerful lessons, true confessions. Yeah. BBC, yeah. A powerful tool for you. BBC, yeah. A powerful tool for you. BBC, yeah. A powerful tool for you.